Coming soon to a high school baseball field near you, the double first base. This rules change was approved at the 2025 NFHS Baseball Rules Committee meeting, with it optional to be implemented during the 2026 season and required in 2027. There are a lot of complications to this rule and still some things that are going to need to be figured out. But here, we're going to cover at least the basics that have been given to us so far and how they'll show up in your game. This video is part of a three-part series on the 2026 baseball rules changes for high school baseball. Be sure to check out the other videos in the series to make sure you're ready to get on the field. Hey everyone, I'm Patrick Farber with GHSA Baseball Umpire Development and Umpire Classroom, where we help umpires develop their knowledge and skills. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and you can check out our 2026 preseason course, now available on umpireclassroom.com. Let's get started. The addition of the double first base affects many different parts of the rule book. The first is in Rule 1, Section 2, which covers the field, in Article 9. It says, effective January 1st, 2027, the double first base will be required. The double first base shall be a white base and a contrasting solid color. The white portion of the base is located in fair territory, and the colored base shall be located in foul territory. The double first base is split by the first base foul line. They shall be installed with no space between the two portions of the double first base. Both double first bases, white and colored, second and third bases, shall be white bags, 15 inches square and 2 to 5 inches in thickness. The key takeaways from this are that the double first base is required in 2027, and states can make their own determination if they'll implement it in 2026. It's hard to tell how different states are going to do this. You may even see some that roll it out on a school-by-school basis or a league-by-league or conference-by-conference. It's going to vary, so we want to make sure that you at least know the rules so you're ready to implement it when you get onto a field that has the double first base. Of course, the white bag sits in the exact same position as it did before, entirely in fair territory. The new part is the addition of the contrasting color section of the bag, which will be flush against it in foul territory. The most common colors you're going to see for this are green or orange, but in reality, as long as it's a color significantly different from white, that's all that matters. Again, note that there's no gap between the two bags. The two sections are both 15 inches by 15 inches, so when you put them together, they create a 15 by 30 rectangle. The next changes show up in the definitions in Rule 2. Rule 2-5-1H. The definition of a fair ball now includes that a fair ball is a batted ball which hits or bounds over any portion of the white portion of the double first base. Then we have a change to the definition of a foul ball in Rule 2-16-1H, which now says a foul is a batted ball which hits or bounds over the contrasting color portion of the double first base without first being a fair ball. In reality, there's no change here to what you know as being a fair or foul ball. The only thing the rule is trying to cover here is that if a ball hits off the bag that is in foul territory, that bag is indeed in foul territory. So we can't have the blanket statement anymore that a ball that hits a base is always fair, because now there's a base that's in foul ground. But don't overthink this. There's no change in how we're going to rule any batted ball from how it would have been ruled before the double first base. Now let's move on to batter-runner responsibilities. We go to Rule 8, Section 2, touching, occupying, and returning to a base. Rule 8-2-1 has been modified to include a batter-runner shall use the colored base on the initial play at first base unless the fielder is drawn to the side of the colored base. Drop third strike only. In which case, the batter-runner would touch the white base and the fielder the colored base. On a drop third strike, fielder and batter-runner may touch white or colored base. Then in 8-2-2A, we now have runners tagging up on fly balls, leading off on a pitch, or returning to first base on an attempted pickoff can only use the white portion of the base. A defensive player may use only the fair portion of the base when a play is being made on the batter-runner on any live ball from within the foul lines or from third base foul line. It is interference when the batter-runner on a force play touches only the white portion of the base and collides with the fielder in the process of catching a thrown ball while on the white portion of the base. Obstruction is called on the defense when there is a force play on the batter runner who touches only the colored portion and collides with the fielder about to catch a thrown ball while also on the colored portion of the base. There's a lot of text here, but we don't need to make this too confusing. The batter runner has to use the colored base on any initial play being made at first. As the batter runner heads towards first, if the ball is being thrown to first or a play is being attempted at first, the batter runner must use the colored base. Touching the white base without touching the colored base is the equivalent of missing the base. There's one exception to this, which is on an uncaught third strike. If we have an uncaught third strike and the ball is being thrown to first, then the runner can use either the white or the colored base. The idea behind this is to encourage the runner to avoid contact with the first baseman if the first baseman chooses to use the colored base to get the out. Once the batter runner has run through the bag, or if there was no play and they've rounded first base, then they can only use the white base. Basically, think of it as the colored base disappearing from the field. In a similar situation, if we have a clean base hit where there's not a play being attempted at first base, then the batter runner can use the colored or the white base interchangeably. Note that there's no situation where the batter runner advancing to first isn't allowed to touch the colored bag. The only restrictions are situations when a ball is being fielded to first, then the batter runner isn't allowed to use the white bag. Before moving on to the other side of the rule, I want to point out that we do have definitions of interference and obstruction in this rule. Of course, interference is an immediate dead ball, and obstruction is a delayed dead ball. If either of those situations occur, then we enforce the interference and obstruction rules as you know them everywhere else in the rule book. That said, both these definitions here require a collision between the runner and the fielder. They don't cover what happens when the incorrect base is touched without a collision between the two. We'll get into that in a moment. There's one more important note about the uncaught third strike exception. While the runner can use either base on an uncaught third strike that's being fielded to first, there are no changes to other existing rules, such as runner's lane interference. There was no rule change or casebook change to clarify that the runner's lane interference would potentially be ignored in this situation. That means you could have a runner legally touching the white base on an uncaught third strike, but still committing runner's lane interference on the way down the line. The double first base rule doesn't override the runner's lane rule. Now let's move on to fielder responsibilities. The defense must use the white portion for live plays. The colored portion of the base never applies for the defense except for the situation of an uncaught third strike. That's the only time the fielder can use only the colored portion of the base to get an out. If the fielder is legally touching only the white portion of the base and there's a collision with the runner in the process of catching a thrown ball, then we have interference. This comes from the rule that says it's interference when the batter runner on a force play touches only the white portion of the base and collides with the fielder in the process of catching a thrown ball while on the white portion of the base. The inverse of that is obstruction if the fielder blocks the colored portion of the base and there's a collision. The rule says obstruction is called on the defense when there's a force play on the batter runner who touches only the colored portion and collides with a fielder about to catch a thrown ball while also on the colored portion of the base. So in both of these scenarios, because we have a collision that affects the play, we're going to have interference or obstruction. The collision is paired with the runner touching only the wrong base or the fielder touching the wrong base, and that's what triggers the violation. So we have to have a collision, and we have to have either the fielder or the runner touching the wrong base. Now, let's move into penalties. Of course, obstruction is treated as any other obstruction. Interference is treated as any other interference. Nothing changes there. Everything else falls under the penalty in Rule 8-2-15, which covers both live ball and dead ball appeals. A runner touching the wrong base can only be called out by appeal if there's no interference. Once interference occurs, the interference penalty itself overrides the appeal. Now let's look at Rule 8-2-7. It says, a batter runner who reaches first base safely and then overruns or overslides may immediately return without liability of being put out, provided the batter runner does not attempt or feint an advance to second. Once the batter runner reaches first base, colored, the runner shall use the white base. So if our batter runner on a play being fielded to first base only touches the white portion of the bag or simply misses the bag altogether, but is beyond the bag when the first baseman receives the ball while still in contact with the white base, then the correct ruling for you to make as the umpire is safe. The runner beat the throw, but the defense can still appeal that the runner missed the correct base because when required to, the runner didn't touch the colored portion of the bag. To get this out, the defense must appeal. With a live ball appeal, the fielder with the ball has to tag the runner returning to the base before the runner gets back to the white portion of the base. And in this scenario, the appeal would still apply if the runner has gotten back and is touching the colored base but not the white base, because on the initial time through the bag, the runner missed the correct portion, and when returning, the only base the runner's allowed to use is the white base. So the big takeaway here is that if there's no collision and we have a touching of the incorrect base, the only way for the defense to get the out is to appeal that the runner missed the correct base. Now let's finish this section with the 7 common game scenarios listed in Rule 8-2-2A. Number 1, the batter runner shall use the colored base on the initial play at first base unless the fielder is drawn to the colored base because of a drop third strike, in which case the batter runner may go to either the white or the colored base. Note here that on any initial play other than an uncaught third strike, for the role of the fielder, they should imagine the colored base doesn't exist. The colored base has no effect on the fielder's ability to record an out. The only exception is on the uncaught third strike. Number 2, once the batter runner reaches first base, the runner must always return to the white base. Once the batter runner has gone past first base, the colored base disappears and only the white base matters. Number 3, on extra base hits or other balls hit to the outfield, when there's no chance for a play to be made at the double first base, the batter runner may touch either the white or the colored section of the base. So if there's no play, either section is fine for the batter runner to touch on his way through the bag. Number 4, when tagging up on a fly ball, the white section of the base must be used by the runner. One foot may extend behind or onto the colored portion, but the front foot must be touching the white section. Simply put, for tagging up, they've got to use the white base. Number 5, on attempted pickoff plays, the runner must return to the white portion of the base. This includes a throw from the pitcher, catcher, or any other player trying to retire the runner at first. Again, the colored base disappears. Number 6, the double first base doesn't change any other rule concerning interference or obstruction at first base. The batter runner must still avoid interfering with the fielder attempting to field a batted ball. Pretty straightforward, but remember, this new rule about the double first base does not change or impact the runner's lane interference rule. Number 7, on base on balls, the offense or defense may touch either the white or colored base. Simply put, for the offense, when initially going down to first base on a walk, they may use the white or the colored section. For the defense, the only realistic implication is receiving the ball on a walk back to the base, which is why the rule reads the way it does. Now that we've reviewed the changed rules, let's look at the case plays. Case play number 1. B1 hits a hard ground ball down the first base line. The ball bounds A, starting entirely over the white portion of the base, then hitting the colored base as it continues to the outfield. Situation B, starting over both the white and colored portions of the base, then hitting the colored base as it continues to the outfield. Situation C, starting over the colored base, then hitting the colored base again as it continues to the outfield. In all 3 scenarios, is the ball fair or foul? The correct rulings are ball A is fair, ball B is fair, and ball C is foul. Remember that this is a bounding ball, so what matters is where the ball is as it bounds while reaching and then going beyond the base. If the ball starts over any portion of fair territory, then it's a fair ball. If it starts over foul territory and remains over foul territory as it bounds past the base, then it's a foul ball. So in A and B, the ball starts at least partially in fair territory, making the ball fair. In C, the ball starts in foul territory and stays in foul territory, so it's a foul ball. Case play number 2. B1 bunts and the ball settles in fair territory a few feet in front of home plate. B1 beats the throw from F2 to first base and makes contact with situation A, only the white portion of the base, situation B, only the colored portion of the base. In both situations, F3 catches the throw from F2 while standing on the white portion of the base. Is the correct ruling A, B1 is out when the ball is caught by F3, B, B1 is out if the defense appeals before B1 returns to the bag, or C, B1 is safe? In situation A, where the runner touches only the white portion of the base, the correct ruling is B. B1 is out only if the defense appeals before B1 returns to the bag. Only 33% of umpires got this right when we tested, and 40% chose answer A. The reason it's not A is because although we do have the runner touching the wrong base, which is treated as a missed base, we don't have a collision. If there was a collision, then it would be interference and the runner would be out immediately. But without a collision, this is simply a missed base. And as you know, with a missed base, the defense can only get the out by appealing that the runner missed the base. So in this scenario, the defense must appeal, and they have to do it before B1 returns to the white base. In situation B, where the runner touches only the colored portion of the base, which is the correct portion to touch on an initial play at first, the correct ruling is C. B1 is safe. Now let's look at case play number 3. B1 hits a ground ball to F6, who makes an errant throw to first base. F3 catches the throw while stretching into foul territory with his foot in contact with the colored portion of the base. The throw is caught before B1 initially touches situation A, the white portion of the base, situation B, the colored portion of the base. B1 overruns the base and returns to it following the play. Which ruling is correct? A, B1 is out when the ball is caught by F3. B, B1 should initially be called out but would be ruled safe if the offense appeals that the fielder touched the wrong base. C, B1 is out for interference. D, B1 is initially ruled safe. B1 can be called out if the defense completes a legal appeal before B1 returns to the white portion of the base. Or E, B1 is initially ruled safe. B1 can be called out if the defense completes a legal appeal before B1 returns to the white portion of the base. Correct ruling for situation A, the runner touches only the white portion. The correct answer is D. B1 is initially ruled safe. Even though F3 caught the ball before the batter runner reached the base, F3 was touching only the colored portion of the double first base. The colored portion doesn't count for the defense on any initial play at first. The only time it would count is on an uncaught third strike, which this is not. So the runner beats nothing because the fielder never legally held the base. However, the batter runner touching only the white portion is the equivalent of missing the base, because in this situation, the batter runner is required to touch the colored portion. The fact that the fielder is in foul territory and touching the wrong base doesn't give the batter runner permission to touch the white base. Therefore, B1 is safe unless the defense appeals. If the defense appeals before B1 returns and touches the white portion of the base, then B1 is out on appeal for missing the correct portion of the bag. The correct ruling for situation B, the runner touched only the colored portion. In situation B, the batter runner touches the colored portion of the base. This is the correct portion for the runner to touch whenever a play is being made at first, and this remains true even if the fielder is in foul territory touching the colored base. Remember, there's never a scenario where a batter runner advancing to first isn't allowed to touch the colored portion of the bag. So in situation B, the correct ruling is simply that B1 is safe. Case play number 4. B1 swings and misses for strike 3 and the ball is not caught by F2. The ball kicks away. Situation A, into fair territory. Situation B, into foul territory near the first base dugout. Situation C, into foul territory near the third base dugout. F2 recovers and throws to F3, who catches the ball while in contact with the colored portion of first base. The throw is caught before B1 touches the white portion of the base. Is the correct ruling A, B1 is out, B, B1 is safe, C, B1 is safe unless the defense legally appeals that B1 did not touch the correct base before returning? In all three situations, the correct answer is A, B1 is out. Anytime we have an uncaught third strike and a play is being made to first base, it doesn't matter which portion of the double first base is used. Either the fielder or batter runner may touch the white or colored portion. So in all three scenarios, because F3 legally held the base, even though it was the colored portion, and caught the ball before B1 reached the base, the batter runner is out. Case play number 5. This is almost the exact same play as case play 4, except in this version, F3 is touching the white portion of first base instead of the colored portion. Again, in all three scenarios, the correct answer is that B1 is out. To repeat, anytime we have an uncaught third strike on an initial play at first base, both the fielder and the batter runner are allowed to use either portion of the base. There's no restriction on which part of the double first base they have to use. So whether the fielder is touching the white portion or the colored portion, the result is the same. With a legal catch on the base before the runner arrives, the batter runner is out. Case play number 6. B1 singles to left field, touches the colored portion of first base, and makes a hard turn drawing a throw. B1 goes back into first base, standing, and is only in contact with the colored portion of the base when he's tagged by F3. Is this A, B1 is out, B, B1 is safe? The correct answer is A, B1 is out. Once the batter runner has advanced beyond the base, they may only use the white portion of the base. At that point, the colored portion essentially disappears from the game. Standing only on the colored portion after making a move past first means the runner is not in contact with the correct base and is liable to be tagged out. So in this situation, since B1 has gone beyond the base and hasn't legally returned to the white portion, the tag while the runner is in contact with the colored portion results in an out. Case play number 7. B1 hits an infield single. B1 runs through first base, does not attempt for second, and returns back toward the bag. Before touching the white base, he stands on the colored base while taking off his shin guard. He's then tagged by F3. Is B1 out or safe? Unlike the earlier case plays, the ruling here isn't clearly provided in the NFHS casebook or the preseason guide. This is the same gap that exists in the NCAA rules concerning the double first base. However, the NCAA did publish an interpretation during the 2025 season that likely fits the spirit of the NFHS rule and the general philosophy of fair play, and is probably the correct way to handle this situation. In this scenario, the batter runner is allowed to run through first base. Since he doesn't attempt or fake toward second, he retains the normal protection that allows him to run through the base and then return safely. The question is, if he's standing only on the colored portion, is he still protected? The NCAA interpretation says, yes, the batter runner is still safe. And this makes sense with the spirit of fair play and baseball as it existed before the double first base. He hasn't yet returned to the base because return only becomes complete when he comes back into contact with the white portion. Since he hasn't yet touched the white portion, his protection continues. If he had come back and touched the white portion first, and then later was standing only on the colored portion while removing equipment, he'd then be out. That's because his protection ends once he legally returns to the white base. But in this case play, he hasn't returned to the white portion. So based on the logic used by the NCAA and the spirit of the NFHS rules, the correct ruling is most likely that B1 is safe. So that's our review of the new double first base rule that begins rolling out in the 2026 season and becomes required in 2027 and beyond. Yes, there are still questions that need to be answered with this rule, and we haven't even touched the mechanics of how it needs to be officiated, especially when you're working in a crew of 2 or even solo. That's all going to have to be figured out as the rule develops, and we'll cover that in a future video. Next, you'll want to move on to the third and final video in the series where we break down the new player-to-player meetings rule. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the field.